putting my glasses on, I haven't got any notes. Maybe I should read the notes in front of me. I think that's E, E, F. No, that's not going to work. It's really great to come together on a day like this. For those who don't know or aren't aware, we have some baptisms today, so you're not going to hear a sermon, a long drawn-out piece from me. We're going to actually hear some of the best stuff you'll ever hear, stories of God at work in people's lives. So I'm really excited about that. And it's interesting about how encouraging it is to hear stories of faith and see obedience, isn't it? Like Laura said to me months ago, I want to get baptised before we go down to Brisbane. And I remember sitting at a table going, all right, what dates are going to work? Nope. 20th of October. That looks like a great date. Let's book it in. And so we booked it in. Didn't know at the time, only discovered recently, it's actually National Baptism Sunday. So God's good, he's lined it up. But then thinking of the journey, like it's interesting, isn't it? Because Laura is willing to take this step of obedience, it brings our awareness around baptism. And last week, as we had that opportunity to look at it in God's Word and be encouraged by it, here I was thinking, this is going to be Laura. Then Mary spoke. Where's Mary? There she is. Mary spoke to me, and we caught up during the week, and she said she's got a heart, a desire, feels God calling her to follow him through the waters of baptism today. So how good's this? And then Thursday night, I get a phone call from Matt Neuendorf saying, hey, the girls want to get baptised at youth tomorrow night. I thought that's always the way, isn't it? Just slipping in at last minute, just peeping everyone at the pole. And how good was it at the river on Friday night for those that were there? It was just so good to hear stories of Leela, Mackenzie and Sienna, how they've come to faith, how their heart, their desire to follow Jesus, and it just encourages us and inspires us. And so because of Laura's act of obedience, we see all of us actually encouraged and people taking other steps of obedience. And that's what life's meant to be like in the body of Christ. One person's story of their engagement with God being an encouragement and helping each one of us to take a step of obedience or to focus more on God. So how good's that? So this morning, I'm going to encourage, so we're going to hear from Laura and then from Mary, hear a little bit of their story, and then once we've heard that story, we've got one last song that the notes that I'm reading, that's true. I didn't have my glasses on, so. So we've got one last song, and then we're going to go out to the water. And for those that are on YouTube, we do have a video, so we're going to be continuing to stream. So if you're on YouTube today, you'll get to be part and see the baptisms out there. It's not waterproof, so you can't be that close, but that's going to be exciting. And then as they come out of the water, we're going to do a bit of an older tradition. Some of you might remember this, but there is still a tradition in some churches that when people come out of the water of being baptised, they sing a song. Normally, I've decided to follow Jesus, or I'll follow Jesus. So our final song is I've decided to follow Jesus, and we're just going to sing the choruses. And Mitch is going to lead us. Thanks, mate. Just dump him in it now. So, no further ado, let me invite Laura to come on up, and her kids can come with her and run amok if she wants, or they can sit and be perfect little angels back there. That's good. And this is, you can imagine, this is a challenging thing to do, to come up and tell your story like this. So let's all welcome her with a big clap.
I don't usually feel short. I said to Kim actually this morning via text message that we're not allowed to cry or this will take longer. So backup plan, if I do, we're going to pretend I'm not. So as a child, my mum and I attended the local Baptist church. I loved Sundays, the community of church. You want your time to shine? Come on up, Bubba. Sunday school and being able to wear my white socks with the lace frill. I knew with a child's absolute confidence that Jesus had lived and died for me and he was the Son of God. When I was 13, you're good, a series of traumatic events took place in my life and I turned away from God. I spent the next 27 years trying unsuccessfully to heal my anger alone. Throughout those years, I experienced challenge and hardship, but I always managed to land on my feet. Over the past 12 months, I've come to understand that while I turned my back on God, He never left me. He carried me through 27 years of hurt and rage. I'm good. Yeah. Since moving to Longreach, I've felt guided to return to church and faith. Significantly, in the past year, I started to feel a sense of connection rather than being an imposter or fake sitting in the far back pew. Church camp was a turning point for me on this journey. I felt overwhelmed and heavy with breakdowns and breakthroughs. Then, only a few months ago, I set off on a long drive, just a road trip. I can't even remember where I was going. That's how insignificant the drive itself was. It was either Brisbane or Rocky. I was barely out of Longreach when I felt what I can only describe as a compulsion to pray. I'd had others pray for me, but I hadn't prayed, just me to God, since my return to faith. I had to pull over in Ilfracombe again just before Barkey because I was so overcome with gratitude, peace and love, and obviously a bit of a crying jag. On that drive, I gave everything I am up to Him, and the rage that had become part of my identity simply vanished. Well, go get your water. I felt like I took my first ever full breath. I've chosen to be baptised as an act of obedience to God and to symbolise my commitment to and love of Him. It is important to me that I am baptised in Longreach with the people who have been instrumental in my journey. Kim, who prayed for me to attend church for a couple of years before I actually showed up, then prayed I'd come back. Liz and Lisa for your support and counsel over the past year, and Lisa for taking time away from your kids to look after mine so I could go to the Introducing God course. Steve and Linda for your guidance and acceptance. Plus everyone who has shared conversations about faith with me in the past 12 months. Thank you.
Laura, we've been incredibly blessed to have you part of our church and on this journey, and it is encouraging to know that you were able to do that transition. It is a worry, isn't it, that we think people will come here and feel like they're different from the rest of us. We might all dress up, but we're all really the same, aren't we? And so, if you're here today and you're feeling like an imposter, don't. We're all broken people. We're all sinful people, but we have an amazing God who's done incredible things so that we can actually follow Him. Mary, coming up. So I had a great time catching up with Mary this week, sitting having a coffee at Kinder and hearing a bit of a story. So I'm looking forward to what she has to share with us.
Hello everyone. So my story, I was brought up in a Christian family. We had Bible readings, prayers at dinner time, and grace was said at meals. We went to Sunday school and later church, a few different ones. Some felt uncomfortable. There were 6 children. I was the eldest. My parents were very strict, and I left home at the age of 17 to start my nursing training. It was compulsory to live in the nurse's home. So once I had my freedom, I made the most of it. I don't recall giving my heart to Jesus in my younger years, though I may have, as it was a long time ago now. Age 22, left for the UK with my boyfriend. We had lived together for 3 years, much to my parents' horror, as we were not married and therefore living in sin. I never went to church in those years, although I did get married eventually. 25 years later, sadly, we broke up. I left and came to Australia. The only time I went to church was for funerals, my mother, my father and one sister. And I worked as a rural and remote nurse, and one of my contracts was in Longreach. I met and became friends with Susie Thomas, one of my colleagues, and later came to share a house with her for 1 year. She shared her faith, was kind and generous, and I saw her in action with practical help and kind deeds, as well as everything else. She could tell Bible stories, and then I went to Port Lincoln, South Australia, to visit a brother of mine and started going to church with his wife and then I became a believer. I returned to Longreach, bought a house here, as I loved the community in the outback. Staying with Susie, who has been a mentor to me whilst waiting to move into my house, I started coming to the Baptist church with her, reading my Bible and praying and believing God has sent me here. Yes, I have prayed that prayer and asked for forgiveness and grace and Jesus into my heart. So I want to make a public commitment and show my faith, and I felt God speaking to me. My life has definitely changed and I'm grateful. Good things are happening and I want to grow my journey of faith, and I know I'm in the right place. I sometimes make a joke, as I'm a New Zealand citizen, a UK citizen, and also now an Aussie citizen, but the most important thing is my citizenship in heaven. This is my testimony.
Thanks, Mary. It's good, isn't it? So we're just going to move into our final song now, and then after the song we're going to be heading outside. But just to put the provisor out there, if you're here today and you know Jesus and you haven't followed him through the waters of baptism, once we baptise these two ladies, there will be that really awkward open silence for anybody who's here today and who knows God's calling him to follow him through the waters of baptism. And if you're here today and you don't know Jesus,